guys, so last weekend I was going through my picture drive, and I have a ton. I am a habitual shutterbug, and I was going through all my pictures, and I had a ton of pictures all over the place. And as I'm going through the pictures, I'm like, where the heck did I take this picture? Where the heck did I take this picture? So I thought I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh, it might be fun to put something together and see if other people can guess where a lot of these pictures were. So I posted a whole bunch of pictures of the Google Sites page, and then by Saturday morning, I posted it on Reddit. A couple places on Reddit, a couple places on Facebook, not many places. So by like 5 p.m. that night, I had a little over 50 emails. By the Monday afterwards, I had 120-ish. So a lot of people liked it, and I really appreciate it, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun reading all the stuff you guys emailed me. It was really a lot of fun talking back and forth with a bunch of you guys. You learned, I hope you learned something. You know, you kind of researched a couple of these places. I definitely learned a lot of new places. People were guessing some of the places, and it was the wrong place, but it it taught me a lot about some new places too that I'm going to get out and explore. So that being said, I decided to make this video to kind of go through a lot of them. I started writing them all down, and I'm like, maybe it'd be better if I did a video and like showed you guys, talked more about some of these places and showed you some more pictures of these places. So it might, spark some interest in it and let you go out and explore. So if you're watching this video for the first time, the very first link in the show notes is the quiz. So stop this video right after, you click on the link, get a piece of paper and a pencil, do the quiz, go down, see if you can guess all 45 of the places, and then come back and watch the rest of this video and see how many you got right. So I figured it'd be kind of cool to just kind of leave it out there. That way you can kind of share it with other people and, see how well they do compared to how well you did. So, but anyway, yeah, let's get into it. So number one is the bunkers in ALVIRA. The bunkers, it's in Allenwood, Pennsylvania, just outside of Williamsport. The bunkers are located on skate game lens, and they were concrete bunkers that were created by the federal government for a TNT plant they made in the 1940s. It's actually kind of a sad story. They eminent domain the whole place. It used to be a town called Elvira. I'm not sure about that one either, but they razed the whole town. And built a TNT plant, and then promised to give the TNT plant, or give the land back to the people after the war was over, and then they didn't, and then ended up staying in state hands, and there became a correctional facility up there, and then so it is a really cool place. The bunkers are really super neat. There's also some ruins and stuff like that if you're like one of those ruin hunter type of people. So number one is the bunkers at Elvira, whatever it is. Number two is Der DISTLEFINK. It's at the BERKS Heritage Center in Reading. The DISTLEFINK is like a stylized kind of bird. It was used a lot in Pennsylvania Dutch folk art. It appears a lot with hex signs, so holds a special place in my heart. Hex Highway, the whole thing. Anyway, so it was made by a very, very well-known artist and sculptor named Ramon Lago. He made a whole bunch of other little statues. There's a statue of a turtle called Tully that's at another park in Reading. He was a resident of Reading. He's also a Cuban refugee. He has a really cool story too. So number two is the DISTLEFINK at the BERKS Heritage Center in Reading. So number three is Bushkill Falls. It's the main falls at Bushkill Falls. So Bushkill Falls is a privately owned land in Bushkill, PA. Trying to remember how many waterfalls. I think there was like 10, 15 waterfalls there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. But it is privately owned, so there is an entrance fee. During the summer, if you've ever been in the Poconos in the summer, it's a travel destination. It can get very, very crowded. They are absolutely beautiful to see. I'm not a big fan of paying to hike, but I do go up there every once in a while just because it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, so number 3 is Bushkill Falls. Number 4 is the gatehouse for the Evergreen Cemetery in Gettysburg, PA. The gatehouse is located on Cemetery Ridge, Cemetery Hill. It was part of the Union lines during the Battle of Gettysburg in the Civil War. The gatehouse was the 11th Corps? Yeah, 11th Corps headquarters. They occupied that building all 3 days of the battle. It obviously survived the Battle of Gettysburg, but it was remodeled like late 1800s, something like that. It's very iconic. It's a beautiful archway gatehouse. So yeah, number 4 is the gatehouse at the Evergreen Cemetery in Gettysburg. Number 5 is the Turnhole Tunnel in Jim Thorpe. So the Turnhole Tunnel is an abandoned railroad tunnel. It's right in the Glen area. If you've ever gone to the Glen waterfalls, it's right there at the bridge. Unfortunately, Glen is closed now, but it's another fight altogether. It was built by the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company. Used to be a siding, like early 1900s. That the railroad was closed, and then it turned into kind of like a tourist type of area. But what's really cool about it is you can still go in. The railroad tracks are still inside. It's a really cool experience going inside that tunnel. So yeah, so number 5 is the Turnhole Tunnel in Jim Thorpe. Number 6. Number 6 is the Hershey Gardens. There's a picture of Hotel Hershey from the Hershey Gardens. Hershey Gardens are a decent-sized botanical garden. They were made by the chocolate man himself, Milton Hershey, for his wife, in memory of his wife. Absolutely beautiful gardens. What's really cool is they dress them up for different types of the year. So if you go during Halloween, it's dressed up for Halloween. You go during Christmas, it's dressed up for Christmas. Lots of plants, beautiful flowers. Springtime is absolutely beautiful there. They also have a cool butterfly garden in the building where you can go in and kind of like it's one of those rooms where you go in and the butterflies are all flying around. So it's a really cool experience. So Hershey Gardens in Hershey, PA. Number 7 is Independence Hall, Philadelphia. It's on Independence Mall. It was obviously, not obviously. If you've never been there, I guess you don't know, but I mean, it's pretty famous. It's a place where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were debated and adopted. It's now kind of the centerpiece of like the touristy area of Philadelphia. So, yeah, if you live in Pennsylvania, you should know this one. Independence Hall, Philadelphia. Number 8 is the COPLAY, the cement kilns in. I really wish. Okay, so if you guys know how to do that phonetically, how to say the name of this place, that would be great. Coplay. Anyway, it's the old cement kilns in Coplay, PA. It's also known as the Sailor Park Industrial Museum. It's an open-air historical site. There's 9 cement kilns there that were built in like the late 1800s. They were used for Lehigh, Portland. Well, not Lehigh, Portland. They were made to make Portland cement, which is a specific kind of cement. There is a rail trail there. Makes a really cool loop. Yeah, you should check it out. I mean, especially if you're a biker, that rail trail is really neat and there's lots of ruins. There's lots of places to explore there too. Just obviously pay attention to the signs. If there's no trespassing and no entering, please don't trespass or enter. But yeah, beautiful area. Number 9 is KINZUA Bridge State Park. So it's the site of the KINZUA Bridge that went across the KINZUA Creek. It was built in 1882. It was at one time the highest and longest bridge span in the United States. It was like 300 feet tall, something like that. 2003, a tornado came through and completely destroyed it. So that's kind of what you see today when you go there. So the bridge is kind of laying in this mangled heap of metal at the bottom of the ravine. They really kind of made it cool. Like they put little trails around everywhere. The one section of the bridge that goes across, there's actually a big glass square, like big glass square that you can kind of look down and see, 300 feet down. So that's KINZUA Bridge State Park near Mount Jewett, PA. It's kind of like the top middle left of Pennsylvania. So Allegheny National Forest. So yeah, KINZUA Bridge. So number 10, got a lot of answers for this one. A lot of you guys said Hershey, which is understandable, but it's not Hershey. It is KNOEBELS Grove. So KNOEBELS Grove is a family-owned and operated amusement park in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. It is one of the largest free admission amusement parks. So if you've never been to KNOEBELS, it's pretty cool. You can literally walk in and out of the park. And you have to buy tickets to ride each of the rides. So it's kind of a different experience. It's a cool experience. Great family area. If you're a doggy lover, they let you take your doggies. You can walk around the park with your dogs. So number 11 is a groundhog, and the groundhog's name is Phillage. It is in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, of course, because it's a groundhog. That's where the groundhog comes from. It is one of many statues of groundhogs around town. It is kind of a cool thing. If you've never been to Punxsutawney, it's kind of a cool thing to drive around town and see all the groundhog statues. There's a ton of them around. Punxsutawney is not only a place to go to during Groundhog's Day. It is kind of a cool place year round. There is the Mahoning Shadow Trail, which is a really cool rail trail there. There's some, you can actually go up to Gobbler's Knob and walk around and look at all the cool things at Gobbler's Knob. And you can visit Phil. Phil is in his burrow, and his burrow is at the public library. And Phillage, who is the one that I took a picture of, is the groundhog statue that is right outside the library in Punxsutawney. So number 12, I was trying to stump people a little bit because if I took a picture of waterfalls, it's usually one of only of a couple places in Pennsylvania. Usually people pick Bushkill or they pick Ricketts, and number 12 is Ricketts Glen. So Ricketts Glen is a really cool state park in Columbia, Luzerne, Sullivan County area. And there's a whole bunch of waterfalls, and it's absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. Again, summer months gets kind of busy, so I'd actually suggest if you go up there, go on a rainy day. It seems like, like even if it's just a little mist or a little like shower or something like that, people tend to not show up so much on rainy, showery days. But it's absolutely beautiful. If you've never been to Ricketts Glen, I suggest you go. So number 13, I got a lot of answers of the Choo Choo Barn in Strasburg. It is not the Choo Choo Barn in Strasburg. It is Roadside America in Charlottesville. Roadside America is a 8,000 square foot miniature village. You can't miss it if you're going up 78 on the left in Charlottesville. You can't miss it. You see the big hex signs. And you see Roadside America. For a lot of us, that is a big memory of our childhood, going to Roadside America. All along the edge of the layout, there's little buttons you press, and you can press the buttons, and you see little things happening. Like you press a button, you see a little merry-go-round and stuff like that. So, Roadside America. Last I heard, they were selling it, and I was looking desperately recently just to figure out what was going on with it. But yeah, I haven't heard anything from before. So I know some people are talking about taking it over or whatever. But yeah, it's an icon in the area, and it's a beautiful place to check out. So it's Roadside America in Charlottesville. Okay, number 14. Number 14 was kind of mean. Number 14 is the SIEGRIST Dam at the Lebanon Reservoir near Pine Grove. So I got a lot of guesses like that. You know, it's not a super famous dam. You probably only know it if you've been there before. So this one was kind of a mean one to do, but a couple people guessed it, so I guess, you know, it's memorable. But yeah, SIEGRIST Dam, Pine Grove, PA, at the Lebanon Reservoir. Number 15 was the old site of Bethlehem Steel in Bethlehem, PA. It is now, the area is kind of known as the Bethlehem Steel Stacks. So it's a really cool site. They do a lot of events down there. They have like a summer concert series and all kinds of stuff like that. If you're into ruins and history, it's a really neat area. It has a really like gothic Batman-y type of feel to it. They have tours there. You can walk up and down the catwalk in front of it and take a look at it and learn a little bit about Bethlehem Steel and how awesome Bethlehem Steel was. And there's a casino right there, so you can go do the casino and win some cash. So, Bethlehem Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, PA. Number 16. So, if you watch my channel, any videos on my channel, kind of a little bit obsessed with the canal. This is Lock 47 of the Union Canal on the Union Canal towpath in Reading. If you go to the BERKS Heritage Center in Reading, the trail that goes by the BERKS Heritage Center is the Union Canal towpath. If you go towards Leesport, probably 2 miles, the Lock 47 is on the right-hand side. It's most put together, ruin of a lock that I've seen in a lot of the ruins that I looked at. So if you go there, you get a pretty good idea of what the locks look like. But yeah, it's definitely cool. Lots of wildlife and stuff down that way too. If you're a trout fisherman, the Tulpahawken's right there. Tulpahawken's a big trout stream. So yeah. Number 17. Number 17 is the Union Canal Tunnel in Lebanon, PA. It's right outside of downtown Lebanon. It's the oldest existing transportation tunnel in the United States. The Union Canal once ran from Harrisburg all the way down to Philadelphia. This tunnel is in Union Canal Tunnel Park. It's Union Canal Drive, Lebanon, PA. It's kind of cool to see. They also do, and I'm hoping after all this virus mess, they still do it, but they also have boat tours where you can take a boat and you can kind of go through the tunnel and back. So yeah, it's a Union Canal Tunnel in Lebanon. Number 18 is the Columbia-Wrightsville Bridge in Columbia, PA. Had a lot of people guessing Harrisburg in this one, but it's not Harrisburg, it is Columbia. It's officially called the Veterans Memorial Bridge. It goes across the Susquehanna. So what's kind of cool about the Columbia-Wrightsville Bridge, it's next to where one of the longest covered bridges used to stand. You can still see the pylons next to it too. In 1863, right before the Battle of Gettysburg happened, the locals knew that the South was coming close, so they burned the bridge to the ground. So kind of cool little Gettysburg history behind the Columbia-Wrightsville Bridge. So number 19. Number 19 is the Railway Museum in Strasburg, PA, Lancaster County. It's a really neat, if you're into choo-choo history, which, you know, being from the Hamburg area, I'm a big into choo-choo history. It's a really cool museum. Um, they have a lot of railroad, like a lot of railroad cars and engines and stuff, you know, exhibits that you can kind of go in and check out how like the old dining cars were and somehow the old engines were. And then the Strasbourg Railroad is right there. So if you want to take a ride, you can hop on the Strasbourg Railroad and take a ride. So number 20 is the Star Barn. Right now, it's in Elizabethtown, PA. It is on the Ironstone Ranch, which is a private ranch in Elizabethtown, PA. Before, it used to sit along the highway, so it used to sit along 283, just outside of Harrisburg. It is a beautiful, beautiful barn. They call it the Star Barn because it's adorned with stars. But if you they do a really cool like Christmas thing. It's like a drive-through Christmas thing with a whole bunch of lights and stuff like that. Christmas time at the Ironstone Ranch. So number 20 is the Star Barn. Number 21. Number 21 is Lake Erie, but it is Lake Erie from Presque Isle State Park. So a lot of people said Lake Erie. Yes, it's Lake Erie, but I wanted specifically to say that it was Presque Isle State Park. Presque Isle State Park is the peninsula. If you look at the map of Pennsylvania, it's a little stovepipe. There's a little tiny peninsula that comes out the top. So that is Presque Isle State Park. When I used to work for the place I used to work for, it was one of my favorite places to go. It's like Pennsylvania's beach. Summertime, it was a beach town. Yes, it's all the sand is added to the beach. It is naturally a rocky beach, but it's still absolutely beautiful. It's really cool to see the Lake Erie and know that it's a freshwater lake. There's some cool lighthouses there, lots and lots of trails. It's a really, really cool area to go visit. That is Presque Isle State Park, Erie, PA. Number 22. Number 22 is the Pinnacle on Canadian Ridge and the Blue Mountains near Hamburg. So one of the more famous ways of getting to the Pinnacle Overlook is through the Hamburg Reservoir parking lot and then hiking up to the Pinnacle. That is my hometown hike. So beautiful, beautiful views. It is a little more crowded than it was when I was a kid. Summertime, it can get pretty packed up there. Also around the Pinnacle, lots of snakes. So very first time I've ever seen a timber rattlesnake was at the Pinnacle. So I've seen timber rattlers up there. I've seen copperheads up there. But don't let that slow you down. It is a really cool area if you've never been to the Pinnacle. And Pulpit Rock, which is kind of across from that. Go check it out. So Pinnacle, Hamburg, PA. Number 23. Number 23 is the Bordner cabin at SWATARA State Park. SWATARA State Park is another one of those tragic eminent domain type of stories. The area was eminent domain to turn into a park. A lot of the buildings that were there were eminent domains and razed. This guy had this cabin. His last name was Bordner. He was a teacher. He had this cabin there. It's beautiful. I mean, you can still kind of walk in it, and there's a waterfall and stuff behind it. Absolutely beautiful. But he fought the government, and he kind of won. They let him stay there until he died, and then it became property of the state. So, yeah. So that is the Bordner cabin at SWATARA State Park. Number 24. Number 24 is Middle Creek. Middle Creek Wildlife Refuge. So Middle Creek, never going to say that one right. Middle Creek Wildlife Refuge, and I'm leaving this in just to show you that I can't talk. So Middle Creek Wildlife Refuge. It is a natural area. It is famous for its snow geese. So in February, March, April area time, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of snow geese come through the area. If you get up early enough, like before sunrise, and you go there and you go onto Willow Point, you can see hundreds of thousands of snow geese on the lake and then watch them take off in the morning, and it is absolutely incredible. So outside of snow geese, season, they have some beautiful trails, like a bunch of beautiful trails back up that way. It's definitely a lot of marshland, tons and tons of birds. If you're a birder, Middle Creek is the place to go. There are lots of waterfowl, lots of like swallows and kites and all. It's incredible. So Middle Creek Wildlife Refuge. Number 25 is Chickies Rock, and Chickies Rock is right along the SWATARA River, just outside of Columbia. It is a rock outcropping. If you go, I think it's 462 that's on the top side. If you go on 462, you can kind of walk the trail to stand on top of Chickies Rock and look out over the Susquehanna, which is absolutely beautiful. But if you're a rock climber, they do rock climbing at Chickies Rock. So every once in a while when you go through there, you'll see them climbing up and down the rock. I would never do that. I'm not a big fan of heights. So, but anyway, Chickies Rock, Columbia, Pennsylvania. Number 26. Number 26 is Lake Tobias. It's the animal park in Halifax, Pennsylvania. So Lake Tobias is a zoo, an animal park. It is unique because they have this really cool safari ride. You kind of get in these cut-off buses and they drive you up through their property, and they have just thousands of deer and goats and bison and Egyptian cows, and I forget what the heck they're called, but they have these huge horns and they're really, really neat looking. Lots of emus and rheas and cool stuff. So, and it's a pretty cool little zoo too. Yeah, so that is Lake Tobias State Park, Lake Tobias Zoo in Halifax, PA. Number 27. Number 27 is the Army Heritage Center in Carlisle, PA. I'm a brat. I was spent my childhood in being a Army brat, living in base housing and stuff like that. So kind of has a special place in my heart, the Army Heritage Center in Carlisle. I'm also a history nut, and the place is awesome because it has a lot of exhibits on this cool little trail. Everything from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War. Specifically, this photograph is a recreation of a World War I trench that you can actually walk down through and stuff like that with the duck boards, and gets you a real feeling of how it felt to be in those trenches in World War I. So yeah, 27 is the Army Heritage Center in Carlisle, PA. Number 28 was another mean one. So number 28 is the Trexler Game Preserve. So if you've ever been to the Lehigh Valley Zoo, if you go up and follow the trails, specifically like the red trail up behind the Lehigh Valley Zoo, you will get this view of the Lehigh Valley Zoo. So what this picture is actually a picture of the Lehigh Valley Zoo from one of the hills around it, looking down on top of the Lehigh Valley Zoo. It is my go-to Zen place. I love the Trexler Game Preserve. The zoo is kind of cool too, but I love the area around the Trexler Game Preserve. The trails are really beautiful. They have some really cool places, like when you stand in these valleys and you have these like rolling hills that full of heather and like butterflies flying everywhere and stuff like that. It's a really cool natural area. So if you've never been to Trexler Game Preserve or Lehigh Valley Zoo, I would suggest you go. So number 29 is the Wolf Preserve in Speedwell Wolf Preserve just outside of Lidditz. So the Wolf Preserve is basically what they do is if somebody has had a wolf or a wolf hybrid as a pet, and has had it taken away. It's basically a wolf rescue. So it's kind of a good organization that they do that. They do like tours there, and just to kind of draw some attention to the fact that these are wild animals, they are not pets, and that yeah, it's kind of a cool organization. I did learn that they do take meat donations and roadkill donations, so sometimes they'll run out with a truck and get a roadkill and bring it back to the wolves. So yeah, I am a big wolf person. Oh, you can't really see it, but I have wolves around my room. I love wolves, so not enough to take away or keep one though, because they are not pets. But yeah, so the number 29 is the Speedwell Wolf Preserve. Number 30. Number 30 is the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania, Pine Creek Gorge. So that is up near, it's kind of like the Wellsboro area of Pennsylvania. Has a really cool rail trail. It kind of runs down through the middle of it. If you're a fisherman, Pine Creek Gorge Pine Creek is a really good fishing creek. Beautiful natural area. They beautiful views. Oh my gosh! But yeah, the one trail that you should check out if you're into like strenuous trails, they have this Turkey Trail that runs from the Leonard Harrison State Park and goes all the way down the side of the mountain, past waterfalls and stuff like that, down to the rail trail at the bottom. So yeah, so that is number 30, the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. Number 31. Number 31 is the Ren Fair, is what locals call it. But anyways, the Renaissance Fair in Raffo Township, just outside of, like, it's kind of the Lidditz area, kind of, sort of. Not really. It's near, right off the turnpike. So Renaissance Fair it's a Renaissance Fair. I mean, seriously, you get to dress up like, LARPer, walk around, eat turkey legs. Renaissance Fair. Nothing else I can say about it. Really fun. So number 32 is the National Memorial Arch in Valley Forge. Valley Forge is where the Continental Army stayed in 1778, the winter. It is where, when they got kicked out of Philadelphia, when they escaped from the Philadelphia right after the Battle of Brandywine, it's where they encamped during the winter. It's a very tragic and yet uplifting story. So if you don't know the story of Valley Forge, look it up. Go visit there. It's a really cool place. It's one of those iconic places in American history is Valley Forge. So yeah, Valley Forge. This is National Memorial Arch in Valley Forge, PA. Number 33. Berks. Woo! Number 33 is the Barn. It is the old Hershey Arena in Hershey, PA. So if you've ever been to Hershey Park and you saw the big building up front that looked like a barn, that's what they call it. It's the Barn. That is the picture from inside the old Hershey Arena. It is where I saw my very first hockey game, and I fell in love with the sport because hockey rules. Yeah. Go Bears. Even though hockey season's canceled, because everything's canceled. It's just the way it is. I didn't remember how uncomfortable those seats were. I was in there for another event, and I got bigger, fatter since I was a kid. Seats are not comfortable on that. Thank God for the Giant Center. Go Bears! What are we up to? 34. 34 is a view from the pagoda in Reading, PA, up on Mount Penn. If you have never been to Reading, it's not hard to see, especially if you go at night. Giant glowing pagoda on the top of the mountain. It started off as being a restaurant for a resort. There's lots of like resort buildings up there. If you're a historian, it's kind of cool, like little trails in the back there. Back behind the pagoda, there's some ruins and some remnants of like a gravity railroad that used to bring tourists up and down Mount Penn. So, yeah, so that's the pagoda, Mount Penn, Reading, PA. Number 35. Number 35 is the little area behind the Philadelphia Art Museum in Philadelphia, PA. It was the Philadelphia Waterworks area. It's right next to Boathouse Row, looking over the Schuylkill. Is if you are a canal person like me, it is at the very end of the Schuylkill navigation. The Schuylkill Canal ended right there at the Waterworks in Philadelphia. So that is a picture of the back end of the Philadelphia Art Museum in Philadelphia. So number 36 is the Nolde Mansion in Nolde State Park, right outside of Reading, PA. It is Jacob Nolde was this guy who wanted to start like a luxury coniferous forest, white pines, and he was pretty successful. I mean, it's a beautiful area, lots of white pines, and had a ton of money. So he built this mansion. Mansion has tours every once in a while if you want to go check it out. But as a natural area, it's a really beautiful natural area. So I'd suggest you check it out. So that is Nolde Mansion in Nolde Forest, just outside of Reading, PA. Number 37. Number 37 is a picture from the state capitol in Harrisburg, PA. It is facing east. So just outside of Capitol building, you can see the bridge that's going eastward. I always think that is pretty. That area is pretty cool. That structure is pretty cool because it has these giant eagle heads on top of these two giant posts that go across the bridge outside of the Capitol building. So Capitol building is beautiful. The stuff that happens in it, not so much. So, yeah, view from the Capitol building. So, 38 was another one of the really mean ones. 38 is, if you've never been there, you probably have no idea what it is. And considering the fact that out of 160 odd emails that I got, only one person got it. It was kind of mean. It is the stained glass window in the Reading Public Museum in Reading, PA. When you walk through the front of the building, there is this beautiful stained glass window that goes up the marble staircase directly across from you. It's made up of the sciences, so it's like science and participation and stuff like that. It's etched inside this beautiful, beautiful stained glass window. It is something I remember deeply from my childhood because, and even today, like when I go visit a museum, because we are museum members, every time I go to the museum, the first thing I look at is that stained glass window. It always catches my eye. I remember in high school too, we used to do school trips, and we slept overnight in the museum once or twice in grade school, high school. And I remember sleeping next to the mummy room and being all freaked out, not being able to sleep. And I just remember like going out and looking at that stained glass window, because it's one of those things where every time you look at it, you see something new. You know, there's lots of like little hidden things in it. So yeah, stained glass window, Reading Public Museum in Reading, PA. Sorry, that was kind of mean. Number 39 is the Tower of Voices at the Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville, PA. Not much I can say about that place. It's definitely awe-inspiring to think about everything that happened that day and how it affected, our lives and the way that America does business anymore. you know, every single person of who consciously remembers September 11th has a story, and it's one of those places that emits a lot of emotion. So, yeah. So number 39 is the Tower of Voices at the Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville, PA. Number 40 is the abandoned turnpike tunnel in Breezewood, PA. It's basically a big long stretch of the turnpike that was abandoned. You can go into it. The day that I was there was kind of crazy because they had somebody had driven through a gate, and there was a whole bunch of people just parked in front of the tunnel, which I didn't really think was a thing. Like I didn't know that you weren't allowed to do that till later on. I found out that you're not supposed to do that. So apparently somebody drove through a gate and then everybody else kind of came with them. So number 41 is the Howard's Tunnel off the Heritage Rail Trail, just outside of York, PA. The Heritage Rail Trail runs for miles from southern PA, right at the Mason-Dixon line, all the way up through, all the way up into York. It's a cool little rail trail. You know, for obvious reasons, when you get close to York, it's inner city. So, you know, everything that comes along with being an inner city trail that goes through inner city goes along with that. So just be cautious. But that's only a short bit of it at the far end. For the most part, it's a beautiful rail trail. It runs right along the railroad tracks. My son and I are going to do the southern section down through Maryland next. Yeah, so that is Howard Tunnel off the Heritage Rail Trail in York. Number 42 is the Lancaster Central Market in downtown Lancaster. It is a farmer's market. Used to have this really good German place in there. Used to get really good German food, but no more. Last time I went there, it was gone, which is sad. But it's a cool little area downtown Lancaster. Lots of little shops, lots of little places to kind of peek around. There's a little shop right around the corner from it in the basement. I think it's called the Pickle Barrel, if I remember. Oh, beautiful. Freaking awesome pickles, like horseradish pickles and dill pickles. And if you're a pickle person, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so that is the Lancaster Central Market in downtown Lancaster. So number 43, a lot of people told me and I said it looked like the Quakertown Pyramids, which I honestly have never heard of. So I learned that one, put it on my list of places to visit. It is not the Quakertown Pyramids. It is the President Buchanan's birthplace memorial at President Buchanan's birthplace park. So if you ever go to it's in Cove Gap, PA. If you ever go visit the birthplace of President Buchanan, there's a cool pyramid there. But yeah, so I learned about the ones in Quakertown. Gonna have to check those out. So number 44 is the Falling Water House. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright building. It's located just kind of south of Pittsburgh. Beautiful building, beautiful area. It's quite a sight to see. If you know of anybody who's giving it away for free, I'll be glad to take it off their hands. So yeah, that is Falling Water. Are we on 45? We're on 45. It's all of them. Yay! Okay, so number 45 is the Pennsylvania Memorial at Indiantown Gap National Cemetery. So this building that's in Indiantown Gap National Cemetery was made to look like a bombed out house in World War II. It's kind of an awe-inspiring building considering the heroes that are kind of buried around it. Every year, my family goes and does the Wreaths Across America event at the National Cemetery. It's a very humbling experience to put these wreaths on these soldiers' graves. But so if you ever get a chance to go check it out, it is a really neat building, a really neat memorial. So yeah, that is Indiantown Gap National Cemetery. So the bonus, a couple people got the bonus. Local people, not a lot of people know about. So that is an elk statue that stood in Penn's Common Park in Reading, PA. Back in the day, it used to be known as the Commons Waterworks area. It was kind of like a resorty type of area. Lots of statues, cool little reservoirs, all kinds of stuff like that. It is now known as City Park in Reading. None of that stuff is still there anymore. But as part of my history series that I'm doing, I'm trying to track down that elk, see what happened to it, because I'm curious. You know, what happened to that statue? They had to do something with it. I don't know if it was donated someplace else or it was melted down or what. But yeah, so the bonus, 10 points. The zinc elk stood in City Park, Reading, Pennsylvania. Yeah. So that's about it. That's all 45 places. So I hope you enjoyed doing this little quiz as much as I made it. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you guys, having a lot of conversations with a lot of you guys on Reddit, a lot of guys through Facebook, and a lot of guys like just back and forth in emails. And so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you go out and explore some of these places. Pennsylvania is a beautiful, beautiful state. People may complain, but I'd really wouldn't want to live anyplace else. So, but thank you again. If you like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. I do a lot of hiking, outdoorsy nature and history videos. So yeah, it was great. Have a wonderful time, and hopefully we'll see you soon.